In a landmark move that signals a new era of environmental leadership, the federal government has unveiled its most ambitious climate strategy to date, with bold targets for emission reduction, renewable energy expansion, and also climate resilience. Nigeria is positioning itself as a regional trailblazer in the fight against global warming. Now, this plan not only aligns with international climate goals, but also reflects a growing urgency to safeguard the nation's future amidst escalating climate threats. Now, joining me to discuss this is Omotenioye Majekodunmi. She's the Director General of Nigeria's National Council on Climate Change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, let me start first by asking, your reaction to, we know that the United Nations General Assembly, the 80th, is ongoing, and we saw the President of the United States speak on several issues, part of which spoke on was on climate change. I'd just like your reaction to some of the things he said as regards climate change. He described it as a hoax and the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world. He claimed the concept of carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions. How do you react to this?
Well, thank you very much for that. And thank you so much for having me on here. In terms of reacting to other opinions, it wouldn't be in my best interest and also in my own pace to be able to respond on behalf of others. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. I would only be able to speak on behalf of the National Council on Climate Change and in terms of what Nigeria's commitment is, which to the next question is, we're very excited right now, and the mood here in New York has been extremely phenomenal in terms of the fact that Nigeria has successfully submitted our nationally determined contributions, and we are the first West African country to actually submit our NDC. So we're quite excited to be the one to hold that space. The journey was quite rigorous, but we got there in the end. And in terms of, what makes this NDC very different from previous NDCs that we have had from Nigeria is we can confidently say that we have committed to reducing our emissions by 32% by 2030 in terms of this particular NDC. Everyone has asked us, what makes this NDC so different? And a lot of work and effort has also been gone into this to be able to differentiate it from others. And we're quite excited about the pace and trajectory that Nigeria is taking. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about Nigeria's commitment in this regard. If you can hear me, are you there?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I don't know for some strange reason Okay, I think I'm back now. Yes.
All right, now let's talk about Nigeria's commitment, particularly when it comes to the area of finance, amongst others. Can you just take us through what we should be expecting in the coming weeks or months?
Yeah, well, it's one that we are hopeful. Nigeria estimates about 337 billion will be needed to implement our NDC 3.0, with about 270 billion expected from international partners. And, we are doing the right things to attract the finance to support our climate and national development ambitions, domestically and internationally. And we're also implementing reforms like the removal of, our president, our amazing president has just, but he did have the removal of fossil subsidies, and the ease of doing business has also been strengthened. These are all, reforms that drive us in the right direction to what we're trying to achieve. And we're strengthening our fiscal environment to give confidence to investors and developing our finance institutions. And so, we're implementing all these plans and policies, especially our energy transition plan, which we are strengthening institutionally with, for instance, organizations like the REA, Rural Electrification Agency, and also establishing the NCCC to provide a lot more coordination. We've also adopted and localized a lot of global best practices for Nigerian companies who provide climate and sustainable disclosures or issues. And also these inspire a lot of confidence and give certainty to a lot of local and international investors to galvanize the need for financing. It definitely will not be easy, but we are confident that as we start the journey on this good footage, we definitely will be on the right path to where we want to be in the come next year.
All right, now zero routine gas flaring by 2030 has been promised before. What safeguards are built into NDC 3.0 to ensure this time it is actually achieved?
Thank you very much. That's a very important question. A lot of our advisors and also even focus groups that we had to make sure that there's constructive criticism for this NDC 3.0 in terms of the validation that we had were part of the questions that came up within the validation exercise to actually challenge and make sure that we carried everyone along and we didn't have a one-sided type of NDC. And so some major highlights I like to, highlight is Nigeria commits to meeting the net zero commitment of the country by 2060, increase our adoption and the use of cleaner alternatives, especially in manufacturing and industries, by increasing self-captive generation capacity using cleaner fuels, and also by installing about 7 gigawatts worth of blended mixed energy of 50% renewable and 50% natural gas, especially the fact that Nigeria has pledged that gas will be its transition fuel. 100% of also electricity by 2030 with 50% renewable energy share in the generation mix by 2030 is one of the other highlights. Economy-wide absolute emission reduction as well, representing 29% and 32% of our net national emissions of 2018 and in 2030 and 2035 respectively. So if you look and see the comparison, you definitely see there's about my math isn't as, I'm a lawyer, my math isn't, but I'll say it's about a 33.5% increase from what we were in NDC 2.0 to this NDC. The last two important points that I like to even mention is a zero gas flaring achieved by 2030 and a 95% reduction in fugitive emissions, by 2035. And of course, the lower deforestation rate by 60%, increasing area under forests through reforestation and afforestation at the rate of 25,000 hectares and plant about 25 million trees by then as well is one of the highlights that I would like to say in this particular NDC 3.0.
All right, let's talk about enlightenment, particularly at the grassroots level. We know that, this is a, will I call it landmark move, pretty huge, but there's also the role of the average Nigerian in this. In terms of enlightenment, making people understand that, look, you need to be responsible for your environment, you should play your own part in ensuring the environment is cleaner. What is the agency doing in this regard?
Fantastic. One of the main things I always say is if you are doing all this effort, but yet I call it hard work without visibility equals burnout. So one of the main things that we focus on at the council is our capacity building strategy. We work with a lot of partners, about at least 50, about how many, about I'll just say about 45 to 50 different types of international and national partners to be able to drive our capacity building initiatives. Because if we have no capacity building in here, we are literally just not able to hit the grassroots. And if we want to be able to ascertain and get all this information across to the grassroots, it really starts from our capacity building initiatives. And so we have a robust plan of capacity building initiatives across all the thematic areas within the council. And that has been an increasing stride to be able to achieve what we're trying to get to the grassroots especially. All right.
Now, Nigeria is an oil-producing country. In fact, to a very large extent, that's a mainstay. And right now, we are talking about climate change, green energy, cleaner energy. How do we strike a balance?
It's a good one. It's also a very, very important discussion. We are a fossil fuel nation, and it's For me, one of the important things that's happening here along the lines is called the Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance. And I was very, very, proud to announce, even on here, because we've just announced it earlier on today. Nigeria has joined, and we are the 5th country to actually join this alliance. And it's a movement by a lot of international organizations, the European Commission especially, and Nigeria has joined the Beyond Oil and Gas to be able to help us have a plan towards moving away from fossil fuels and also just having some kind of plan. I must reiterate that we are a fossil dependent country. It does not mean by this transition, it's not an immediate thing. It is a slow progress towards having a plan, at least so that when, things do become a lot more Nigeria has a plan for their transition. And so we've joined the Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance, and today it was announced. And it just shows how we are looking beyond oil and gas, pretty much. I can't put it anymore. And Nigeria has an energy mix plan in place, and which shows sustainability, which shows growth, which shows scale, which shows impact. So if we are able to at least have some kind of plan in place to be able to know that we are currently fossil fuels, but we have a transition plan. And that's why we have the ETP. And so to me, it's all about finding the balance. And we have found that balance. It's just to now make sure that we do both. So, and that's what we do, both with a plan in place. And it's important to have these discussions and to be able to learn from others, how other countries who have this energy mix plan and what the percentages are for fossil and newer energies. How are they managing it? And we are learning a lot. I'm really excited on the road to Belém, Baku to Belém, because these are kind of the discussions that we will be having at Belém to be able to have the right things in track and the right plans in place for Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking your final thoughts on this matter. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and of course I still have my guest with me, Omotenioye Majekodunmi. She's the Director General of Nigeria's National Council on Climate Change. Thank you for staying with me. Now, I would like to know what your advice or how you will react to those who feel that the idea of climate change is unrealistic. Some do not even believe in it. What do you have to tell them?
Well, thanks. There's really not much one can say. It's just that I've been in the space for about 17 years and I have seen the evolution. I've seen the difference. If you even just look at Lake Chad alone, just in terms of the geographical decline of how the water has reduced, that already shows you a very clear sign that it is real. If we look at even in Nigeria alone, deforestation, and there's so much encroachment, conflict, even if you don't want to look at the natural disasters alone, just the impact of what is happening on the environment and also on the people and the domino effect that all these disasters are having on the world. Even if you are a skeptic and you don't believe, how do you want to now how do we tackle this is where I am coming from. It's important that we don't let that don't let the rhetoric kind of dissuade us from the issues that we have at hand or the issues that have emanated from this climate, the domino effect of these climate acts and these disasters. Look at the fact that just one simple issue of, the conflict in the north, it stems from climate change. Those in a certain area are migrating because they can't find food to eat in their area due to deforestation and other climate acts. So they're having to migrate to other areas and encroach. So the food in these new areas they've moved to is not enough for all the people in there. What is happening? Conflict, fights, terrorism, all sorts of other negative things that are coming out of it. And so we really need to act on these, even if you want to stand on the side of those. We have to act. What do we do with these problems? it's not sustainable. So even, that's why I want us to really look at those aspects and try to, let's, stay as factual as possible and stick to the facts. So that's pretty much what we've been doing. Do things in our own way. How can we reduce emissions and cut emissions by 2030? How can we stick to improving ourselves and becoming better at improving our NDCs? And, with the coming of NDC 3.0, as I can't really, reiterate that enough, it's the right step in the right direction for Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. Omotenioye Majekodunmi is the Director General of Nigeria's National Council on Climate Change. Once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dapo. Have a good day.
And